as a child of God, I can admit that I don't always have it together. Most of the time, I don't have it together. You know, I'm barely hanging together right now. And in all honesty, the same could be said when I was a sinner. You know, I think comparing the two, I could say when I was a sinner, it was worse for me. It's just now as a child of God, it just hits different because, you know, my views to a lot of things have shifted. I'm going through a transition where a lot of things that I did do, you know, I can't do now because it's not acceptable. And then there's other things where I never did it, but I'm in this mental battle of wishing I experienced it one time, but at the same time, I know that it's wrong to even have those thoughts. I know that I should be grateful that that's one less sin that I don't have to carry on my shoulders, you know? And then feeling that guilt of, you know, even wanting, even thinking about what it would have been like if I had experienced certain things. And then knowing that I have to repent to God for even entertaining the thought of it. Because what a lot of us don't know is that it's not just carrying out the act that is a sin, it's even thinking about it, thinking about doing it, like visualizing it. That too is a sin. And it's actually as equal as carrying out the act itself. So even when we have thoughts about certain things, we have to go back to God and repent. That's why it's virtually impossible to go a day without committing a sin. And I think one of the biggest problems of us child of God, I mean, there's many things, if I'm being honest, but one of the biggest things is the perception of how we are, how we should be, or how people believe us to be. And a huge fault falls on us because we're not honest and sincere. We always act like we've got everything together when we don't. We always act like things are honky dory when they're not. That we don't sin, but we do. That we don't go through battles, but we do. You know, you got many people sinning in the church. You know, most of us, if you saw us in the street, you would have no clue that we were even child of God, because nowadays we look no different to how you would expect a sinner to look. Like most of you, if you saw me in the street, unless you initiate a conversation with me, you would have any idea that I was a child of God. Saying that though, one thing I've learned in life is that there's not one look, because you got people who do look like the stereotypical Christians, and they're the most wickedest people to ever live on this earth. Like a lot of like sorcery and witchcraft is by Christians who practice it. It's not sinners. It's not even people who practice spirituality outside of God, or those who follow other religions where, you know, there are demonic practices within other religions as well. But Christianity, that's probably like the hot pot when it comes to witchcraft and spells and all of that stuff there. You know, we're at fault for the image that we have. But for the few ones that are real, because there are real Christians, there are true people that love God and want to serve God, but they get overshadowed because of the darkness, because of the wickedness, because we always go on like we're better than everyone else when we're really not. You know, we're meant to lead by example, but we don't. And we failed the church, we failed sinners, we failed backsliders. Even when we try to inform them or correct them and it comes from a sincere place, you know, most sinners nowadays, even some Christians will roll their eyes at us, and at this point we can't really fault them, because you've got one half of us where, we're just a bunch of hypocrites, we're condemning everyone else like our shit don't stink, and we're more than likely worse than the ones who we're condemning. And then you have the other side where, you know, we go out of our way to please others, whether it be sinner, backslider, or like lukewarm Christians, because we want to be favored, we want to be loved by them. We will say anything, or we will withhold information that they really need to know pertaining to God, just so that we please them and, you know, not hurt their feelings. But by not telling the truth, we're hurting their soul. And I can go through a list of things that we're not being honest about, from one sexuality to fornication to adultery to abortion. I'm saying like the common ones that everyone knows about, but it's like a long list of them that could go on for days. We're not having real honest conversations. We're not telling the truth. We're pandering to people's feelings, and that's not going to do anything for their soul, nor our own souls, because when we do that, not only are we accountable for their souls in terms of, or let me correct myself, we're accountable for the role that we played in their souls being lost. Because when it's all said and done, each and every one of us, we're held accountable for our soul. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, child of God, or, if you're a Christian, sinner, or backslider. That's what I meant to say, sorry. It doesn't matter. We're all held accountable for our souls, and we all have to answer for it. So the sinners have to answer for it, the backsliders have to answer for it, Christians have to answer for it, myself, I have to answer for it. No one can answer for the things that I do. The same way, I can't fully answer for the things that people choose to do. I can answer for the role that I played in their decision making, but ultimately they have to answer for their crimes the same way I have to answer for mine. And having that understanding and knowledge, you're always questioning yourself as a child of God. Are you doing enough? And then when you think you're doing enough, you get proven that you're not. And then that's how the devil gets into your head, because you get into a phase where you get into the spirit of doubt. You begin to doubt yourself by thinking that you're not doing enough and that God's not pleased with you. You get into a spirit of doubt where you don't believe that you'll get into heaven no matter what you try to do. And then you start to question, should you keep going or should you give up? But that's precisely what the devil wants. For you to give up, for you to doubt yourself, for you to feel that God has already forsaken you, for you to feel that there's no point in you continuing praising God or doing His will. I just want to say this for every true child of God, every true sinner, every true backslider who sincerely loves God, and this is for myself as well. Even if the whole entire world forsakes you, gives up on you, never believed in you, doubts you, even down to your very own ones, twos, and threes that remain in your life, even if they turn around and forsake you, even if they turn around and doubt you, you have to keep pressing forward. You have to keep pressing forwards, even if it's just you and God alone. It doesn't matter what the world thinks in the end, because what the world thinks about you won't get you into heaven.